Good evening, everybody. This is the Board of Selectmen, Town of Wareham's meeting for May 27th, 2014. Roll call, please.
Thank you very much. Selectman Titlebaum, Selectman Tropiano, Selectman Slavin present, as well as Town Council Richard Bowen and Town Administrator Derek Sullivan.
Thank you. Announcements, Mr. Titlebaum?
No, I think I'll let you do most of the ones that I would have done.
I don't have any.
I have announcements. I happen to have announcements.
Thank you.
All right, first, the coffee hour that they hold over at the library, Thursday, 9:15. There's going to be Pat Yeltman is going to be there, and her topic is healing through light touch. So that sounds interesting. Sounds like something you might want to go see.
I'm not going to touch that.
Yeah, it sounds like she's holistic of some kind or another, but it sounds like an interesting thing. All right, next I have the Blessing of the Fleet, which is July 5th, 2014. And if you're interested in getting out there with a boat and you want to get registered and so on and so forth, and you're interested in the Blessing of the Fleet, you can go to warehambotf@yahoo.com. And I believe you can register right there. Okay, so that's July the 5th, 2014, for the Blessing of the Fleet. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Colonel David Fitzens. Is that how you say that?
Yep.
F-I-T-Z-E-N-Z, hyphened. Award-winning author of 5 books, presents Hacks. Oh, my God. Sycophants? Is that what that is? Wow. Adventures and Heroes, Madison's Commanders in the War of 1812. It's at 7 p.m., Thursday, May 29th, 2014, Town Hall Auditorium. There'll be a book signing to follow. On Tuesday, June 3rd, 2014, at the Wareham Free Library Meeting Room at 7 p.m. And this topic will be different. Wareham Militia Captain Malcolm Piney will be there. And Finney, is that how you say that? Okay. Redcoats in Residence, Wareham and the War of 1812. Now that sounds really good too, because that's, actually bringing Wareham into it, which I kind of like. And the upcoming bicentennial, June 13th, 14th, and 15th. So that's kind of fun. And that's what I have for announcements.
Okay.
Next is citizens' participation.
No.
No citizens' participation. Okay, license and permits. I don't think I have any.
Nope.
And next will be beaches and tourism update. Come on down.
Actually, come on up.
You're the next contestant.
Yeah. Do I come become a member?
Sure.
You want to make him a member before I start, or?
And then we have an appointment too for beaches and tourism, right?
One-stop shopping?
Might as well. Let me pull it out and we'll jump ahead here.
You can go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Tell us about me?
Sure, we'll get you.
Why doesn't he tell everybody else?
We'll get you in trouble early.
Well, I lived in Summit. I've Summit in Wareham all my life. I've been a property owner now for 15 years over in Maritime Drive in Little Harbor Estates. And I'm the administrator for the Greater Attleboro-Taunton Regional Transit Authority. I think, the tourism and beach committee is kind of a natural fit to some of the activities that GATRA would like to do within the town, looking at shuttles and just trying to increase our summer public transit use. So I got involved by the work we're doing now on the Cape Flyer and trying to make the improvements behind the fire station so that when the platform's ready and the train service will begin, GATRA will play a role in actually bringing service and buses both to the train and then dispersing people that get off in Wareham throughout the village and down to Onset and some of the other venues around the town. So, I think it's a natural fit, and Peter twisted my arm enough to keep telling me to join, so here I am.
Nice.
Thank you.
I move we appoint Francis Gay to the Beach and Tourism Committee to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2017.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 300. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Okay.
The Beach and Tourism Committee is advocating tourism, and we know that the selectmen and others have been looking into getting into kiosks and parking fees, et cetera. And we would just like to promote areas that are a little bit off-scene a little bit, and see whether or not we can't get people who would perhaps be searching the various streets of Onset to use such places as Heinz Field. So we are asking that, as an experiment for this summer, that Heinz Field be designated as free parking for beachgoers on Saturdays and Sundays from mid-June through Labor Day, that we get the cooperation of the police department to provide some signage saying that there would be free parking at that area, and that the selectmen make a request that GATRA, who has volunteered, to provide free shuttle bus service for patrons of all the parking lots around the beach front. The reason we said that free, except on dates that you have allocated as special events when people like the Cape Verdean Festival charge. So our request is that Heinz Field be designated as free, and that we ask that you ask formally so that they can provide shuttle transportation all summer during Saturdays and Sundays from GATRA. And that's what we're asking and proposing.
Who wants to go first?
Mr. Titlebaum's a member of the committee. You want to start off?
No, I'll hear what you two have to say.
You know, I think we've already, we have a policy now in place
Yeah,
about
we do.
parking, and we can't give free parking. You know, we can have GATRA stop and do some of those things, but the policy clearly states that there won't be any free parking anymore. And the reason for that, obvious, is the town's in very financial straits, and we need all the revenue we can get. And if we don't get the additional revenue we're hoping the town will give us, without it, we just can't. We just don't have the money. In my opinion, we just don't have the money.
The only area we're asking for is Heinz Field for this year. You do not have a kiosk there. You do not have somebody collecting money there yet. I'm not sure whether or not it is your plan to.
It is. Right?
Not this year.
I wouldn't say not this year for Heinz.
Okay.
Heinz, before we would even think about charging, we would want the entire field upgraded, including some sort of surfacing on there and proper lighting, especially for the nighttime. As if we would charge, clearly we would want a safe environment for people.
So does that mean that it's okay for these guys to park people there for free?
It would be, well, we would have to read through the policy to see exactly what it says. I don't think people can use the fields and charge. That's my understanding, unless they came before the selectmen. Selectmen were to say, hey, it's going to cost X amount of dollars for you to do that. We can sort of sub it out. But I didn't think that in one of these spots we would have an issue, especially not Heinz Field. If we can. One of the issues we have as well is we're looking at some of the further areas, so like East Boulevard, for having some of the parking program, and there's no place to really steer people for paid parking or additional parking there if they're out of towners, which can effectively hurt some of the businesses in the area. So having Heinz Field and the shuttle buses could be a plus for them.
Well, you know, we'll have to look at the policy, because the policy says that we can't do that.
Okay, first off, you really want the automated signs that the police, I think they have two of what people will call the flashing or illuminated signs.
That's
Because
correct.
obviously the police department would not be able to provide any free signs. any signage usually comes from municipal maintenance, and I doubt that, at this particular time, we have anything in the budget for that.
Well, we're just looking for a temporary free shuttle, free parking.
Well, again, they have those 2 automated signs, so that's what you're looking at.
That's what we're asking.
Is GATRA, I'm sorry you're here. You probably are too right now. Are you prepared to offer a free shuttle?
We could do it. Again, I think that the selectmen have to request that, you know, from this body to GATRA to do it, but we could do it. So,
Okay, that actually was discussed, I believe, with the OBA. I think it was 2 years ago. There's a possibility also, we had a meeting last week with the OBA. Myself and Gary Buckness was there talking about residential parking. And there was talk about possibly doing a shuttle service. I think the Stonebridge Restaurant was gonna do something with a bicycle, like rickshaw type thing, for some of its customers. So if that's something that's possible, we probably should get the OBA involved, because maybe they would supply through their membership some kind of a offset to some of the costs.
Sure.
Because it would benefit all the businesses quite a bit. I can't see us controlling on a kiosk-type system the Heinz Field this year, because it wasn't in the plans. I can see working something out with our policy for like events. I believe the Cape Verdean event, which normally uses that area to park as well. I think Mr. Sullivan is already discussing with them some proposal of money coming back to the town. So this might be possible really for this year. Going forward after that, I'm not sure, so.
You know, in reaction, there are a number of changes that are being made. And I think that there will be some negativity. And I think that by having Heinz open for this year only and providing this free transportation, that you will create a little bit of a positive viewpoint. You will also get people into the habit, perhaps, of using Heinz Field. And if I gather correctly, I think you are looking at restrictions for parking on West Central and South Boulevard. And if that is going to happen, these people are going to be looking for an alternative.
It's in our plans long-term, Bruce.
So this is one alternative. It's the most distant, quote-unquote, field. And I think that the offer, if you request the free offer, would make things better. And it would be a positive feeling.
I mean, if we're not gonna do anything with it and not collect any money, then it doesn't make any sense
Yeah.
not to let them use it.
Well, the only time we'd be collecting money would be if there was an event and we had somebody that physically there, you know, collecting, or else the organization would be collecting money and we would get a percentage
Well,
this year.
obviously, during, are we still allowing the events to use that field?
We're negotiating, there would be a cost to it.
So how is that gonna affect this property?
It-
On-
it
on-
would
They've already
because
said on
they-
weekends that they wouldn't
Because
use
they
it.
say special events would no longer be free. So they, in this particular proposal they're making, they're basically saying that when we
Exempting
have
it
a
out.
special event with other entities, that there'd be no free parking.
Well,
So I think it'd be
if we're not
worthwhile.
gonna use it and we're not gonna charge for it, then why not?
Yeah, and it's not unheard of. This is similar to what Plymouth does. I think the further away you are, the less cost, and eventually there is free parking. Yeah, so if people are willing to usually to hoof it, but now if you've got you've also got a shuttle bus, I think it's an excellent.
Yeah. Well, it's something I asked for a few years back before, so.
Well,
I don't have a problem for this coming year.
What if we made a motion to do this pending the review of the policy to make sure we're not violating the policy? Why can't we approve it now and just verify the policy doesn't, we're not violating the spirit of the policy?
We are violating the spirit of the policy.
We are,
Yeah, technically.
but it's not being used now,
No.
and we're not getting any money out of it, so we're not giving away any
Anything.
parking. You know what I mean? So there might be a fine line there.
I think it's something worthwhile for this year, no matter what. Because I believe it will assist us in
I think it's our policy, right?
implementing the residential parking and the business parking also for some of the employees that have to work in onset. I think it's gonna be a solution, at least
right.
temporarily.
I move we approve this plan to use Heinz Field by the Wareham Beach and Tourist Committee, and that we authorize the chairman to request GATRA to supply shuttle service.
Second.
On
Motion by
weekends.
Mr. Tropiano, second by Selectman Titlebaum. Any other questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the Plymouth model was exactly the model that we discussed on the Beach and Tourism Committee when we were bandying this about and speaking with Frank about it. I think, you know, the suggestion that I just heard about employee parking is an outstanding one, because that has been something that's been an issue every time we go down to Onset and talk to the business owners there, or go into a restaurant to get a bite to eat or something. They're coming at us with this problem that, you know, they're employees who, let's face it, if you're working in a service industry, you're not incredibly highly paid to begin with, and it's costing them a lot of money to park due to the kiosk system, or they're getting ticketed, or it's just a difficult situation. And I think to use it, I don't think that there are going to be so many people instantly hitting up Heinz Field that it's going to be, you know, bursting at the seams. It's not the most convenient if you're walking to the beach. If you've got a family of 5 with 3 little kids, people, you know, it's like mobilizing an army these days when these people go to the beach. It's not like when we went to the beach and you got thrown in the car. Nobody had any seatbelts on. You were sitting on top of each other, and there weren't even enough beach towels for everybody, and went to the beach. Now they bring they empty out half the house into the minivan to go, and then they got to cart all that stuff to the beach. So
It's a piece of cake. It's a piece of cake. Look, I have 5 kids, and the 2 of us, 7 of us, and we usually have a friend or 2 along, and we always manage to cart our butts to the beach. So it works.
it works, but it's not going to be the most
Martha's Vineyard,
desirable.
we're a long ways away from it.
It's going to be good for those who are willing to walk. It's going to be good for those who are willing to stand out and wait for the shuttle to come by periodically. But I do think the idea for the overflow parking for the businesses is really, that's maybe the best thing we've gotten out of this tonight. So I would certainly support this.
I think also we'll have to go through Heinz Field, make sure that the ground itself is more or less free of any harmful debris for automobiles parking, et cetera.
Yeah, we may want,
Broken glass, et cetera.
yeah, we may want to line it with some lime or something, because if anybody's ever parked cars on a grass, it only takes one person to make it a nightmare. So.
I think we can, again, reach out to OBA and ask them for assistance as well.
And I think we're still with some of the businesses. I know there's a lot of concern from the owners that their staff isn't at 1:30 in the morning walking out to Heinz Field. That once the kiosks are no longer charging, there is an evening time limit. They can park there. And I think we're still looking at placards for businesses as well, just to make sure people aren't running back and forth. So.
Yeah, our number 1 is residential parking to solve that situation. Number 2 is employee parking. And number 3 will be the people coming into the area. We have to get one piece done at a time, because it's, whatever we do, we'll have little glitches right along the way to clean up as we go. So, it's a start. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Abstained? 3-0-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen.
Thank you, Frank.
All right.
Thanks, Frank.
Next is
It goes to your,
update.
See you
the letter
Thursday.
goes to your office?
Yeah, please.
Thursday at 8.
8 or 9?
8.
Well, you're early. I'm going to be surly.
Well, maybe, I'll check. I'll send you an email.
Next
Maybe it
i-
is 9.
Next up is.
I'm not a morning person. You
Yeah,
will
it is
regret
9.
8. Okay, good.
Next up is the Public Safety Complex Initiative.
That is, we met last week. Everybody will be back to the meeting in about 2 weeks from last week. Everyone is, when I say everybody, basically we have the EMS, Harbor Master, Police Department, and our Fire Department are all working together to come up with what their needs are in order to have an overall public safety complex. The Fire Department, of course, is already on game to basically put together a new main fire office and where it is on Main Street. So we will, about a week and a half from now, we'll be sitting down talking about what the requirements are for each one, and then seeing if we can put together something with a piece of land that might be available. and we will be looking at private-public partnership in this particular project as well. The other piece is that Ray from the chief over at Onset, Goodwin, came to the meetings, and they're interfacing back and forth because all the public safety groups are actually working together on a constant basis. They meet every couple of weeks, as I said before. They move staff around when they need help. If there's an equipment need, they work on that as well. So although people think the two districts in the town really don't work together, that's not the case. There's constant work back and forth, so I just want everybody to understand that. And Ray also mentioned that the Onset Fire District and Water District is looking at a new fire station as well. So therefore, they can't move one into a central complex because the fire department of anybody else requires location is critical for response time. So they will have basically where they are, but there's a possibility of moving like an EMS ambulance into their facility, also having another piece of the police department having like a substation in there. So they're also working with us to see if we come up with an overall complex as well. So it's quite interesting what's going on. Yes, Mr. Titlebaum.
Just further to your point about needing to, have decent response times, this also factors into what we pay for homeowners insurance. Your homeowners insurance is based upon your distance from the nearest fire service, and the farther you are away from it, the more you will pay, because the greater the risk that your property will incur greater damage due to increased response time. Makes sense when you think about it that way. So no matter what, may come of consolidation efforts or looking to house various departments in the same structure, in a town this size, I don't see how it's even remotely feasible to have just one fire station. It would not work. We would pay for that many times over every time we got our insurance renewal notices and we were in a different category of fire risk. So that's something to bear in mind.
Mr. Tropiano.
One of the things we need to do out of this, though, is somehow we need to put the 911 system together. So that it's not all broken up like it is now. We get pieces.
We'll be discussing, centralized dispatch
Yeah,
and things
'cause
like that.
that is huge. I mean, that's, I think there's a bunch of money to be saved in that area.
It's all on the table.
Okay. All right, next is the update of the Wareham District Initiative.
That's the other one. We met this past Thursday. We had representatives from both fire departments, officials, the PRUCOMs, the water commissioners. We did not have anybody from Onset, only because there'd been an election and the person that was representing wasn't reelected, so we're taking care of that. We sat down and talked about different things as well. We're looking at different pieces, again, if we buy equipment, if we're going ahead and doing different pieces, if we have to do certain types of purchasing, again, sharing of certain systems, possibly billings and other things. So everything is on the table there, and we're actually starting to sit down and discuss how the two districts plus the town of Wareham can do things and share in order to save money and provide better service at lower cost. This was the first real meeting that we've had. It got put off a little bit because of the availability of people. So we'll be back in 2 weeks there. I'm hoping to have some more concrete information, but there is a complete willingness of everybody involved to do something, which is not what everybody thought again. So everybody is working to the same goal. Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay.
A request to WCTV for additional studio and/or equipment.
I asked them, come on up. I asked them to come and to speak to us. Actually, it's twofold. The first piece is we've been sitting actually back, I think when Mark Andrews was here as town administrator, there was discussion about possibly taking the auditorium and upgrading it to a studio complex. We've never really, as a town, stepped up and asked for additional equipment and stuff that we've needed. I believe we have some paperwork here from Matt Underhill on that. And I think it's even more important is WCTV has outgrown the facility that they're in, which is the old town hall, and they're looking to make a move. And ideally, for the town side, we'd love to see them basically take a town building somewhere and reuse a piece of property. It would be the best use for us and for the town overall. So we're looking at that. But the more important thing is that they want to work and be close to the schools, because they want to basically offer to the students a place when they go after school where the kids can actually have another course and learn, and basically get involved in the video business itself, understand TV, really radio's the same, but be able to learn how to use all this equipment and get some extra training. And at the same time, we also would end up with 1 or 2 more basic rooms for us to do our broadcasting. It'd be easier if it was in-house there, because it's not just the Board of Selectmen that needs to be on TV. Most of the licensing boards, it's really important that the town sees what goes on. The licensing board meetings are sometimes boring and long, but sometimes quite interesting what happens. It gives you a better feel for why things take time and why things don't take time. So with that,
What about the boys
I think
and
you
girls?
said it all.
the Boys and Girls Club was temporarily put on hold because the school had, the school ended up having the wrestling team, but the weightlifting in there. Remember that, maybe before town meeting?
Yeah, but we should talk a little bit about that, because nobody ever gave anybody permission to use that building.
We know.
So that's an issue. I mean,
The school is working on taking care of that.
okay, because, I think it's a big enough building for these guys.
The only thing that was voted at town meeting was whether to do a long-term lease.
Long-term lease.
There was nothing about putting people in there
Right,
or anything,
exactly.
so it was just a long-term lease.
It's,
Yeah, so, I mean, is that something, is this what do we have any idea that, is that a building that you guys might be interested in?
We're interested in any number of buildings. We're open right now. We feel we need a bigger space. We need bigger studio space. We'd like to be in an area that's closer to students, to the town buildings.
Yeah, I mean, that's like perfect. It has high ceilings for
We
lighting
need high
purposes.
ceilings. We need, we're looking for more space for municipal meetings, but our options are open. And it sounds like Alan has already said everything that we could say at this point.
Okay.
We'd like to further our discussions with the town to see what buildings might be available. And I think that we would be more of a service to the town, to the students, and to the community in general.
We have a real big building up at Tremont Nail.
Can't use it.
Very
Yes, extremely high ceilings.
yeah, actually, I believe we
One day it'll
sat,
be open to the skies again.
yeah, we discussed that back about 7 years,
7
8
years
years
ago.
ago with Mr. White. I believe I was on the Tremont Nail Master Plan Committee, and they came in and we looked at the mold and 2 smells, and that was the end of that.
And the river running through the middle of the,
And the river running through the basement.
I think I have a title now of official peddler of that building, so anybody who comes before us, I'm gonna try to hit them up to go in there.
But we are open to anything that the town might have for town buildings. We are looking at private buildings as well. And like I said, we have all our options
Yeah.
open right now.
Again, as I said, as far as the town side is concerned, the best for us is basically to reuse an existing building we have, because it gives the town an asset at the end of the time frame when you're basically finished and hopefully grown again and need to move or whatever, that we have a piece of property that has value, because obviously you'll be investing quite a bit of money in the building.
Right, and if we invested in a private building, that leasehold improvement goes to that
Absolutely.
Goes to that
owner.
piece there.
instead of the town. I think we're a good value for the taxpayers in the town.
What I think we need to do also, and take a look at it, because I don't think anybody's, there's only 3 of us here out of the 5, so I'm not comfortable going any farther. But we need to look at the proposals that were done by Acadia for the auditorium, because we were talking about that. If for some reason this doesn't come to pass, then we're gonna have to add at least 1 studio to the town facility, because we're just, with the possibility of the multi-service center, the use of this room might be more questionable long-term.
Is this something that they want to do? Is this something you guys are interested in doing, the auditorium?
Well, actually, something that we can request per the contract.
Well, I get that, but, what's your opinion on this? I mean, you guys run the show over there, and believe it or not, I happen to know a little bit about the way that you work, seeming that I spent 6 years involved in a program in another town just like this, and I know that there's a separation between the town and you on purpose. And the purpose is because politics shouldn't be playing a role in this. So what I'm trying to get to is this something that would interest you?
I think we're open to all options. I think we've got a long track record of supporting the town
Yeah.
and doing whatever we can to make it a better community. I don't know if John wants to pick up
No,
on that.
That was pretty much what I was gonna say.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
So I'm not trying to be evasive about it. We need to know more of a plan. I think the board, and that's a question for the board, and I can't speak for them, but
I
would-
believe it was discussed a couple of years ago as well. And we sent someone down and took a kind of scoped it out to look to see what was gonna be involved. So, and at that time, there was no specific plan that you have there, so, yeah, we'd be interested in seeing that.
We have a plan, and we also have a list of items that we'd be looking for. Again, this is available through the contract itself. It allows us to request equipment. It's in the base contracts of both Verizon and
Well, you know, anybody can
Comcast.
request anything from them. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's, I get that. That's,
no, we actually have a right to.
no, yeah, because we're the town, we can request anything. The point is that they are, an access corporation has specific laws and rules that govern it. And there is a separation between one and the other on purpose, so that there isn't a lot of politics to be played, because, look, you guys have a contract, and matter of fact, the one that you're in, I negotiated. And to be honest with you, you get quite a bit of money to do this, to get this access program, so people get use, good things out of this. And it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a really good thing. And because it's such a good thing, they don't want politics played in it. Not that we are playing politics. But the point is that I think when you do something like this, you guys have to have input into this.
Right. It should be noted that we do give money to
I know.
nonprofits in town. We give a lot of money
Right, I
to
knew
the
that.
schools.
The schools,
We've
yeah.
given money to the elderly group, the senior group.
Seniors.
So we do give a lot of money, and we do try to do whatever we can to make the community a better community.
Well-
And we'd like to continue to doing it, but if we build out a building, we may want to incorporate a lot of that need into the new space.
Right.
So that would facilitate a further discussion as to what the requirements might be and what we could do in a new space that wouldn't have to be done retrofitting
On-
the old
an old space.
auditorium.
Yep.
So-
Okay, I get it. I just want to know where you guys came down on this, that's all. I don't want anybody to think that we're railroading anybody or trying to get something that we shouldn't be or any of that kind of stuff, because I hear that out there already. I've heard people already talk about it, and it's just not a fact. I just wanted them to understand that,
It hasn't been made clear to us exactly what the town would like us to do in regards to, I guess, the town's plan to rehab the auditorium in the main town hall.
Well, we talked about it once way back, of putting a head end in there and everything else, so that it could be used for, basically productions of anything. I mean, they could have put theater in there, for that matter. I mean, it's one of the only large areas in any of the town buildings that you can do those kinds of things. So some equipment would be very helpful, obviously, to make that a reality. And, if you guys can fit it into your plans and it works, then it works, And you get some use out of it, obviously, and so would other groups and organizations, which would be a good thing, not a bad thing.
A big cost of that particular facility would be the acoustic
Yes.
problems that are in there. So, and that's, falls a little bit out of our purview. We're not really acoustic engineers, and that's really what you would need in there, would be somebody who would come in, design paneling, and, put up
Yes.
non-reflective walls and that sort of thing. But as far as the equipment goes, that's something that we would be happy to talk about.
Awesome. Awesome.
And there it is.
I'm not sure why, but that plan was done in 2010. I don't know why you didn't get one.
We did not get one.
I believe it. That's why it's never gone anywhere, because nobody's ever followed through on it. So we can, go ahead, Mr. Titlebaugh.
I know, just with regard to your question about refurbishing the auditorium, there was some discussion, I think within the past year, about the possibility of using community preservation funds.
We're on
For-
hold on that.
We're on hold, but, again, I'm just tossing it out there as a potential option. Nobody's decided anything. one way or the other, but that's on hold at least until the roof gets fixed, I believe.
We have to fix the town hall roof because we can't go ahead and do anything on the flat roof of the auditorium until the slates are fixed.
Yeah.
Because the slates fall down, cut the new roof, and that won't work very well. And the interior work, which everything is kind of bid out for, one piece after the other is all on hold. Because we're not gonna sit there and do stuff inside when you have water leaks in there causing
Yeah,
damage.
exactly. So we gotta fix the main roof first, because that's gonna involve stuff falling on the other roof. Then we're gonna have to fix the other roof, the membrane roof. And then after that, number 3 in line would be the interior of the auditorium. But I just wanted to get out there that that's something that has been discussed.
And again, to me, in my point of view, the ideal piece would be to have a new studio where these things are taken care of. We don't have to deal with this particular issue. It would be a lot easier. It's much easier recording and producing everything in one place. It's a lot easier. It's a lot
We
easier for
agree.
help to move
Yeah.
around, et cetera.
Yeah, we'd like to have a building that's big enough to support more of the community than we're able to now.
Well, we're on the same page.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you for coming in, and
Thank you.
Mr. Sullivan will continue to have discussions with you as far as, property that the town has.
Great.
We'll
Look
continue to
look
work
forward
on
to
that.
hearing from you.
Thank you.
Is that my copy or our copy?
That's your copy?
Okay, great.
Can you make it done?
Thank you.
Next
Again,
up,
thank you for coming in, I appreciate it.
Thanks, all.
next up is review of policy 8810.
With
I
only
think
3 of
this-
us here out of the 5,
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable doing this.
And this has been coming back like a whole bunch of times. We gotta get it out of the way one of these days.
Or
Yeah.
just not get it out of the way. I have to say, before we move on to the next thing, things like this are great. People get together, they work on them, they think about the present-day problems. They decide to set up a nice roadmap like this, it goes in a book, and then 25 years later, another board comes along and says, hey, gee, nobody's looked at this thing in 25 years. I think
The
we...
master plan was the same way, dude.
Yeah, I know the master plan was the same way, and, I know a lot of people worked hard on it, and then on a subsequent board decided they didn't want to bother with it, and this, that, and the other thing. I just, if we're gonna do something like this, then it needs to be, number one, we need to wait until we see what happens on the 17th, because we have a 5-year plan if the election goes one way. I don't know what we have if it goes the other way. And so we need to come up with that and see what that result is before we start thinking about this, in my opinion. I would ask that you hold off until after the election, because there's gonna be 2 very different outcomes in this document if that's the case.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
We'll bring it back in July.
Thank you.
Discussion and status of the Everett School, which we just got back, right, from town meeting?
Mr. Bowen, I believe the paperwork we got back, if you can confirm, it shows that we have no deed restrictions as far as either selling or leasing property. There's nothing that says we can't do whatever we want with it, basically. Am I correct? That's correct. All right. I know that there is issues with the roof, water leakage, et cetera, but that building inside was upgraded as far as electronics, as far as wiring, because the school department was running there for quite a while. We need to probably make a decision what we'd like to do, but maybe the town administrator spend a little time, reach out and find out what the possibilities are, in what direction we can go with the building. It's got a decent piece of land with it, obviously there's a playground next door to it, it's part of it. There's a piece that, I think Mr. Tattlebaum said the church was sold. The question is the back paved parking around the back, it probably belongs to the school, although the church uses that as well. But the idea is, if this is gonna be excess property, is there a way to redevelop it for our own use, or do we turn around and sell it?
I think we sell it.
It's, I want to take a walk through it with the CETA director. He had at one time promoted an educational facility in town. A location right off the highway could be potentially excellent. There's other items that we can use it for, such as a nonprofit center. Bringing nonprofits into the town for small leases, it can be upgraded through CETA grant funds. These nonprofits will bring better services to our community that we can't offer our residents. Using it for sale for one-time revenues could be problematic when if we take a few steps and really consider what the worth is of that building to the community,
Yep.
it could be much more. Also, I've asked Mr. Campina to bring an abatement in front of us. It looks like they're still being charged a sewer fee. That was the first thing I asked, so let's knock that out so municipal maintenance isn't being hit with any more fees. But I think it's a building that if we really put our heads together and maybe we have to use some of the outside funding sources, we can convert it in where maybe it pays for itself, maybe it generates a little extra revenue, but the end game is to really provide services for the community.
Just one thing I wish you'd look at, though, is it has very limited parking. And that makes the building not as usable for a lot of things, obviously.
You can add parking to the left side of the building where the playground is.
Yeah, if you take the playground out.
Well, there's nothing really there except a swing or something in there, so it wouldn't take a lot of work to convert that as
Yeah,
well.
but it's still very small, so the parking's still very, very small. And I think it kind of shares that driveway too, doesn't it, going in? I think it does. Shares the driveway on the right side of the building with the church, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the church building is on the,
It's actually, I think we have the plan here.
the Roland Thatcher Hall is where the building next door.
This is the plan from 1956, I
Six.
believe, when the land was conveyed over to the church, probably right around the time they were looking to build the fellowship hall there.
Yeah.
I think the driveway actually probably belongs to the school.
That could be. Well, in any event, if we're on the subject of CETA and education, the last I understood when this was being discussed in connection with Hammond was that our CETA director had apparently reached some sort of an understanding with a mid-level functionary down at 4Cs, but then the president put the kibosh on that plan, so I'm not sure exactly where we are with that. Maybe it would be good if we could find out if he's had any subsequent discussions, and if so, where those have led.
I've spent a lot of time in that building over the years, and
You go back to school again?
yeah, no, not because I was in school, but because I meant to so many of those school meetings along the way, and especially during their budget hearings and all that. They used to always have them in that building. And, you know, the building, I think you're gonna find that that building is not, and I don't wanna limit its value by saying not in very good condition, because it just isn't.
Maybe the term you wanted to use is not as conducive to municipal purposes as we might think.
What a silver
You
tongue.
like that? Yeah.
There's a silver tongue, right? Thank you.
But it's great for private investment.
But, yeah, exactly, you know, so I don't know. I think you should look at everything anyway, Derek. I think, don't close it off and say, well, this will be good for community activity. We have a lot of buildings for community activity we're paying for now, and if this thing doesn't go on June 17th, every cent to keep that thing alive, just to keep it alive, while it's, you know, wherever we get to it, you're gonna need that money.
I believe we're also, no matter which way the vote goes on the 17th, we're gonna get probably 2 more buildings in the school as well,
Of course.
with their plans, their A plan or their B plan.
Well, they don't wanna maintain them either,
No.
so it makes perfect sense. All right,
If it's okay with the board, we'll bring this back in July if Mr. Sullivan will have some information. I'll make it the end of July, Derek, if that works.
okay. Next up is discussion of pending issues.
Okay, that's the list that we had of
29 items.
29, actually have 31 altogether. We were gonna go through, again, we don't have all 5 members here, so I'll just go through very quickly the focus group. That information was done, we have the results of that, we really haven't discussed it, but it is done, program's finished. The EdStat program is moving along. The Merchants Way, obviously the Cape Flyer is more or less in place, the train station. We still need to write a letter to Mass DOT if we decide, and we need to think about it first, if we want the actual train station on Merchants Way, if we want to take that over completely. Right now, we have it, but basically the way it was written up is the train, which would be Mass DOT rail, at any time could ask for the station back under the way the deed was written up. So they basically told us back 5 months ago that if we wanted to request the actual station, they would sign it back to us permanently. So that's a question we need to ask, whether we want to do that or not.
What about maintenance and everything? Who's gonna take care of that?
We are it
already
anyways
do.
now, that's the problem.
They're doing it anyway?
Yeah.
So we do it.
We winterize it, maintain the bathrooms, the exterior, everything.
Might as well take it back.
We actually, what they would convey back to us, Patrick, is their 1,500-foot interest that they retain in the building to use it. We actually are responsible for it in every other way and essentially own it, other than the fact that if they ever decided to use 1,500 square feet of train-related space in there, they can demand it.
Which is
That's what they have. So
We
it's
might as
It's
well
basically
take
the
it
building that's standing
It's
there.
basically the building that's standing there, but I mean, getting the 1,500 square feet doesn't put us on the hook for any more expense than we already have.
fine. Then we might as well
Again,
take it back.
what we can do is ask Mr. Sullivan to make sure that this is something that will be okay, and then we'll go ahead and we can contact Mass DOT and ask the request for the deed to be changed.
Might as well.
Would they be able to do that? We can discuss with them without any contingencies and things
Yeah.
such as that. That would be my main concern.
That's how I think we should approach it with them. And therefore, if that's the case, then we can go ahead and actually use that building for something. You
Right.
could lease it out, do it whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
Put a coffee shop in there.
Don't start there. Sorry. Okay, the CETA programs on Merchants Way, I think are on hold right now also. Stormwater management, that will be up on our agenda, I think, in 2 or 3 weeks. The Clear Channel, we haven't heard back from them. Parker Mill Dam, just so everybody knows, we're working on trying to, again, figure out who actually owns on the road going out over the Parker Mill Dam, which is by Tremont. Nail, who actually owns the dam itself complete. We have questions about whether we or Makepeace in the town of Wareham actually owns the dam. Everett School we've already discussed. Toby Road is the development with Walmart. Cedar Land at Bay Point, we're going to have them in at a later date. My understanding is they cannot make it next week. WCTV was just here. Number 7, WCTV, new studio, etc. We're already working on that. Status updates on the Public Safety Action Committee, Town District Shared Initiatives are all working. Building Permit Handbook, I'm working on that, and Judy's working on the Employee Handbook. Spirit of Wareham Awards recipients, we'll have that, I think, next week. Mr. Sullivan is looking into Town Employee Awards. EDU rate, we'll have our meeting, I think, on the 21st. Condensing Town Committee still on hold, waiting for some more answers. Review of all town operations, that will probably commence very seriously after the 17th, depending what happens there. Either way, it'll be worked on. Master Plan Committee is Mr. Tropiano, they'll be working on that shortly. Somewhere down the line, the planning board will have to do the solar and wind energy bylaws. We don't have any. We've made a commitment to Seth Pickering on the green initiatives and green gold community. We're working on those. Mr. Buckminster has picked up with Mr. Sullivan on the parking issues and parking programs. The kiosks are moving around more. I've already outreached to the surrounding communities about sharing. We'll have some official meetings in about a month. Consistencies we're working on. The Council on Aging is still sitting out there. Again, depending on what happens on the 17th, we'll make a decision of which direction we go in. Same thing with the library. We already have the board bylaw. We'll get into that at the end about the new motel, hotel stay. The trash litter, that will be on our agenda in the next couple of weeks to actually do a real campaign, not just a committee. Task force of volunteers are being worked on. Development outreach projects, as Lopes we've already started to do those. Uplisting of public and private ways is on there. And Oyster Fest for 2015, that will be basically the Wareham Village Association and Mass Fisheries. Hopefully we'll expand that project. So everything on our list for this year is actually started. Nothing is sitting, just not going anywhere. That's all I have for that for today.
Okay, next up is, need to update list of private roads and winter maintenance of private roads.
And including with that is the town administrator, section 7B, because they're both working together.
Okay,
Mr. Sullivan?
The first item is I'm going to pass out is the winter maintenance, private road winter maintenance petition form. We've been going to other municipal sites, seeing what they do. The owners of the private ways do need to petition the town. The town will look at the roads for defects and such, width. Some of them are 12 feet with 2-foot drivable shoulders, or 10 feet with 2-foot drivable shoulders. 14-foot vertical clearance is pretty much the norm. The reason for these is, and if you see some of the trucks that the town has plowing, we're not using little S10s to go down these. You're talking about big trucks. I think last year we spent approximately $20,000 on repairs of just lights and other parts and mirrors that had been torn off plowing some of the private ways. Really, the responsibility is with the private road owners to come forward to request it, to have their road in sufficient maintenance that we can plow them. And that's, I'd like to see that we start moving in the direction, because we're gonna have to do this sooner rather than later to have this resolved.
I think he's first. He put his hand up first.
Yeah, I did review these policies from the other towns. The 14-foot height is standard. A couple of them had 12, one of them had 10. You know, I think the intent of the ballot vote, and certainly the result, I would suggest that we want to be inclusive rather than exclusive with that, so I would stick with the 10-foot in our regulation if that's what we're doing. The 2-foot side clearance, clearing 2 feet to either side of the actual stoppage of the pavement. If there isn't a sidewalk there, for example, it allows a place for the snow to go off the roadway. That's a good thing. We've got the 2 documents basically here that do we want 2 documents? Do we want a regulation with a separate explanatory document, or do we want to do it the way Falmouth did and have it all kind of rolled into one? That's, I think, kind of the question I would ask.
Mr. Tropiano?
Maybe I'm not getting it. So everybody who has a private road that's in the town is going to have to put together one of these things, signed by the abutters and everybody, to get their road plowed?
Yes, that's how it actually works. We accepted that we are allowed to do it. It doesn't mean that you have to. You now have to go through the process of requesting that your road be put on the
Oh, that's
list.
baloney.
No, because part of it is they're going to have to also indemnify us for doing the work on the roads.
You know what? Look, we've been plowing the roads for people for a long, long time, okay? A long time. And the roads should continue to get plowed. I don't want to hear any baloney about, well, we're not going to plow your road because your road's only 12 feet wide or 10 feet wide or 8 feet wide. We've been plowing those roads forever and ever. We get paid once upon a time to plow those roads, and the roads should continue to get plowed. Look, they voted to do it, and all this is a lot of baloney and a lot of hogwash as far as I'm concerned. And you know what? I don't know what, this is just ridiculous. I'm sorry. We don't need any extra paperwork. We don't need to make all these people jump through hoops. Let's just plow the darn roads like we always have. And let's cut the baloney. This is bull crap, in my opinion.
Mr. Bowen?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I was speaking up because I didn't want the town administrator to be the one who's hung for that particular document.
Well, I'm
So-
not yelling at you personally, Derek.
No.
You know that, right?
no,
What? You?
You know that that's not a personal attack.
So, that's why the lawyer wears the T-shirt with the bullseye on it.
Well, and you
But-
know what? If you were going to make me use this, I'm going to shoot you in that bullseye.
I'll make sure I wear my Kevlar vest that day. With your permission, Mr. Chairman, the town administrator and I have been kicking this around quite a bit. And we've looked at policies from other communities. And with your indulgence, I'll just throw out some of the ideas that at least I've come up with for your consideration. Number one, you need a policy. That's okay, I had one a little earlier.
get plowed? Wow, what a leg cramp that was.
Oh,
It sent me, He's throwing those daggers over here.
Yeah, that wasn't my
One of them
voodoo,
caught
that
me
wasn't
in
my
the leg.
voodoo doll
One
that
of
got
them
you.
caught me in the leg. Yeah, you gotta take that doll and get rid of it.
So, we need a policy from the board, that much is clear. And I think the policy has to have 4 different elements in it. And this is for your discussion. The first element is the actual physical requirements that are gonna apply to the roads. 10 feet, 12 feet, vertical clearance, whatever you think is appropriate. That's the kind of thing that you're probably gonna wanna talk to Dave Menard about, figure out what road, what it takes to get a truck down a particular road. I don't know, but I think Dave will. But there are a few particular items that you're probably gonna wanna think about. For example, there's the whole question of roads private roads where, on Memorial Day weekend, a sign goes up and says, private, no trespassing, do not enter. And then as soon as Labor Day weekend is over, that sign is gonna come down. There are gonna be roads where there are, restrictive gates. There are gonna be roads that have physical issues, like speed bumps. I guess you talked to Dave about that. You're gonna have issues about marked edges of the roads. That's something that you wanna talk to Dave about. Those are some of the issues that you're gonna wanna develop in the physical requirements part of the policy. What those details should be, I don't know. I leave that to the people who have got superior knowledge on that. The second part of the policy is, we put together this draft petition form, and really, in coming up with a draft petition form, trying to address 2 different issues. One is that the town records as to what's a public and what's a private road aren't good. I think I'm putting that politely. And so part of the thinking behind having people come forward and fill out a form was, if people think that they're on a public road, rather than rely on our, I think, faulty records, we have people come forward and say, hey, look, we've got a private road, we'd like to have it plowed. And it's putting you on notice that this is a road that people want to have plowed. Now, I think the part that was given you, Adjutant Patrick, was some of the fine print in there, and I take full responsibility for the fine print, because what the fine print says is that if we go out and plow the road, if we knock down a lantern, or we damage somebody's prized ginkgo tree, or whatever, that the folks who petitioned to have us go up and plow the road are gonna say, look, we understand that things happen when you plow, and we're not gonna hold you responsible for that. Now, that's a policy decision for the board to make on that one. I fully respect that. As your lawyer, naturally, when I come up with something, I try to put in what I can to protect the town, and that's my only interest. And if you think that the town can be protected in a different fashion, I'll work to put in whatever you think it is that ought to be in there. Finally, the other thing that was in there in the petition form was that municipal maintenance could, in its sole discretion, stop plowing a particular private way if it felt that a condition had developed on the road that made it dangerous for them to continue to do so. Now, off the top, I can't say what that condition might be. Maybe it's a sinkhole. Those aren't unheard of around here. Maybe it's, somebody's letting their shrubbery grow out into the road. Maybe somebody throws up a private gate. But they could do it at their discretion. The form, at least as I thought about a policy, would go to municipal maintenance. It would come to them, they would send somebody out to take a look at the road and say, okay, does it meet the physical requirements that the Board of Selectmen set? Because you'd be having a meeting 3 times a week for 4 months if you had to go through these forms as they came in. My thinking was, if you establish a policy, let municipal maintenance send out the technical guys to take a look at it and see if it meets it, and see if it's a safe road to plow, then they can say, great, plow it, or no, there's a problem. But that wouldn't be the final word on the question. If municipal maintenance said, look, we don't want to plow this road, give people a right, per your policy, give people the right of appeal to come to the board and say, look, for these particular reasons, we think that this road should be plowed and that municipal maintenance is wrong. And then, if, they make a good case, you and your wisdom could say, yeah, we should plow this road. Dave, make sure that road gets plowed. So, just to sum up, these were some of the policy issues that we're thinking about. It does put the burden of going forward more on the people who live on the private roads than perhaps we might otherwise like, but the reason for that is that frankly, our records are lousy. And not that, and Madam Clerk, you're probably watching, that's not a reflection on you. It's a reflection on 100 years worth of having these things stack up. So,
And one of the things is giving them the time to cure any defects. It's not an
exactly,
instant
exactly.
out.
Mr. Tropiano?
You know, this is just craziness, in my opinion. It's just outrageously crazy that all of a sudden we're going to have bureaucracy and paperwork in people getting their roads plowed in a process by which they got to come to appeal and all this kind of stuff. Just putting more bureaucracy in front of something simple like plowing roads. And by the way, they do use pickup trucks that get rented to go down these roads. I know. And a matter of fact, it's funny because my road's a private way. And it was replaced 10 years ago by the town using Chapter 90 money. And they replaced the entire road, put in new drainage and everything else into it. Okay, all the way down with Chapter 90 funds.
It should
Okay.
have been accepted after
All
that,
right.
yeah.
Right,
We-
I
we
mean,
might
I'm
be
telling
getting a
you, the thing
bill.
was done over, and the plow they have going down there is a pickup truck, and he can't find the side of the road if his life depended on it, because he only goes one pass, one way or the other. I usually end up plowing the road back myself in order to get it back to the curb, because he just plows one pass and another, and like a pickup truck would. So, look, I've been a plow driver a long time. I plowed lots of winters. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you how many, but plenty winters.
I can guess.
And it's a relatively simple process to plow a road. We don't need to have all this paperwork in the hands of plowing roads. We've been doing it now for a long time. Matter of fact, I think, how old, 275 years? Well, we've probably been plowing the roads around here for at least 150 of them, okay? We've been plowing the roads, and we haven't had any issues. And, we have hit a few mailboxes and done a few things like that, and I can't,
My fence.
you hit your fence?
Oh, yeah.
Well, and you know what, you push the snow back and sometimes it hits the fence. But, that's the way it is. It's always been accepted, it just happens, and we plow the roads. If there wasn't for the state not wanting to pay anymore, this law wouldn't even exist. We would be plowing the roads just like we always plowed the roads, and they'd be reimbursing us with money that they don't want to reimburse us with anymore. And it was just a steal, so they didn't have to pay us any money anymore. That's all it was. That's why they did this. It's just a scam on the people of the town. And unfortunately, this town has lots and lots of roads that are not accepted ways. It's not like the typical town. A lot of towns you go into, most of the roads have been accepted, and there might be a few that haven't been accepted. In our town, there's tons of them that haven't been accepted. Maybe because we didn't do a good job of getting them accepted along the way. A lot of times, when they went for plan reviews and they did subdivisions, they would accept the entire subdivision. We go in front of town meeting, and they would just accept the entire subdivision, and then you don't have that problem, because now it's an accepted way because they accepted the town. Matter of fact, they accepted paper streets that were on there that weren't even built yet, but they would do that quite often. And a lot of towns.
Got a lot of them from, a while back, we were dealing with one from 1908.
Right, and that
I
happened.
mean, what do you do with that? An accepted paper street? Wow.
Well, exactly.
Wow.
But the
At
roads.
least we don't have to plow that way.
That's right, we don't, because there's nothing to plow. But but if there was, we probably would. But it just seems like this is just, come on, people, we're just plowing roads like we always plowed roads. like we always did for 150 years, plowing roads. And I don't know how we're gonna resolve this, but this is just too much. And you can't ask people to go, okay, go get all the neighbors' signatures, and then we'll get somebody to check I mean, this is just silliness.
It's
I'm
one of the
sorry.
few times, we have sort of the question, why is Wareham different? Sandwich, Barnstable, Yarmouth, Harwich, all of them. This is what they're doing.
They're
Check.
doing this?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're kidding.
No,
they have
this
to.
wasn't, we didn't make this
You
up
don't
out of
have
the
to.
blue.
They don't have to.
Yeah, they do. If they
No.
want to protect themselves, they do.
We don't have to do this.
Let me explain. This whole issue really came about because someone complained to the town that in plowing, we dug up some of their dirt road, and they insisted the town come back and fix their road. This is how this all started, all of it.
Well, if the truth be known, we used to grade the dirty roads twice a year.
But the bottom line to this is, if it's a private road, and on Chapter 90 funding and stuff, those roads don't count to our totals.
Maxim, right on the end of my street, used to be the guy who rode that thing all the time.
I'm just trying to make a point that it would be, there's a benefit and a negative to having all the roads accepted. If a road isn't accepted, it doesn't come into our Chapter 90 funding. We lose money. All we're trying to get at is that if you're gonna have equipment damaged and destroyed, if you're gonna end up having to fix things because people complain afterwards on a private road, then you have to have some kind of basis. Because sooner or later, you're gonna get into some foolish lawsuit. You knock someone's tree down accidentally or whatever. You need to have some guidelines. The other towns around us, are much wealthier than we are and probably have more funding, yet they're doing it for a reason, is because they have to protect themselves.
Well, but I can fix that easily. We draft a policy, and the policy says, any damage we do while we're plowing, we don't cover, period. And, well, that's all we have to do.
Mr. Bowen, is that an actual legal thing for us?
Of course we can.
Well,
Well, you can have a policy, doesn't
Well-
mean it's gonna hold you.
I love the sentiment, and I certainly would never go toe-to-toe with Patrick on the details of plowing. And I will add that in the Rich Bowen perfect world, you paid your taxes, everything got plowed as long as it wasn't somebody's driveway.
Right.
However, we can come up with a policy that said exactly what you said, but unless the people on the road actually agree to it in writing,
Doesn't matter.
then it's not binding on them. And that's the problem.
But it,
We'll bring this back at our meeting
yeah,
in
we're
July.
gonna,
Because we have 5 people, and I believe we're gonna have one of these things where we agree to disagree.
Well,
We're gonna be in all different directions.
yeah, and there's gonna be some others' opinions on this as well.
No doubt.
No doubt.
But it-
We had to start somewhere.
Yeah, we might as well throw it out there.
this is just something where you have 2 different things. One is protecting the town, which is our responsibility, and at the same time is providing our residents with services that we all feel we should be providing. And it's one of these conundrums that we have to figure out.
Conundrum, I like that.
It's a nice word.
I don't even, I don't think this is what people thought they were getting when they voted for this. That
No.
much I can say.
Exactly.
With
No, I'm sure-
absolute certainty.
Exactly.
No, I'm sure they expected that we were gonna
so-
plow every private road.
Well, they expected, as Patrick says, we would just continue doing what we were doing, and this was simply a way to legalize it.
Yeah, well,
On the other hand, there does have to be some kind of control so that the roads are at least maintained to some acceptable standard to send a truck down. I get that part of it. My question to the town administrator is, do we have a big enough municipal maintenance department to devote enough time to go inspect all 80 estimated miles of private ways in this town before next winter? I mean, that's the one I don't get.
No.
That's a lot of time out on the road,
No.
sitting there with your tape measure saying, is that branch 13 feet or is it 14 feet? I mean, that's the kind of detail they're gonna have to get into to go up and down.
Can't be done.
I would say no on it.
I agree.
Then there's gonna have to be phased, you're gonna have to have a phased review, because again, the people passed this at the ballot, and, you can't deny somebody just because, we didn't get to inspect your road this year. That's not gonna be an acceptable answer to them at all.
We can charge to the snow and ice line the cost of doing this.
So we can incur additional expenses, what you're saying.
It would in the long run save us money.
Can you explain that?
Yes, because our costs for having to redo all the roads when one person sues us and wins, and we now have to regrade their road and take down the tree, like the gentleman that said, because we plowed their road, we've changed the grade, which in turn caused water to come down the road, which in turn made the embankment get swept away, and now we need to cut down their trees. It would also be when one of them sues us because one of our guys perhaps hits their car, and again, perhaps, but we don't have the right to be on their private road. They never gave us permission. Private road owners own to the middle of the road. Without their permission, technically, we're trespassing.
A lot of depth to this one.
We got a lot of work to do on this one.
July 15th.
Okay, next is any other town business not reasonably anticipated in 48 hours. Peter?
None.
None for me.
None.
Okay. Town administrators report.
Why is he laughing?
You're up, sir.
I think we've been plowed to death tonight, so we'll skip over that one. You should have the memorandum for the April expense report. We made the changes and transfers at town meeting. The only item I am concerned with is one that we've been trying to mitigate is the street light account. Municipal maintenance is working hard to use some of their grant accounts to offset those expenses. That's the main one that's of concern. Every other department line item is within the expected year-to-date expenditure, or they are we've made the transfers and such. General services, usually we have an issue towards the end of the year. We don't anticipate any other mass mailing, so we should be able to keep that one within line. We will need to transfer for the special ballot election from the reserve fund into the clerk's account. I believe it's going to be the separate town meeting and elections account.
How is the PD doing?
They are, with the $70,000 transfer, they are within line. Pending any sudden retirements or anything like that, we
Right.
should be well within line. That's what we had requested, $70,000 transfer to their salary
Well,
account.
considering the way it's been the last few years, that's a miracle.
Yeah, their budget was cut once again in FY14.
Right.
And to bring it within line with the retirements they've had and the overtime issues and losses of personnel, it's really, it's a credit to Chief Walsh.
Awesome. That's awesome.
I would say that when we have a chance, everybody go over the expense, and then if they want, we can discuss it next week or the week after. It's during the town administrator's report, if there's any questions.
And the revenue reports are quarterly, so the next one you'll see is the year-end estimates. But again, we usually don't close the books till after July for all the final amounts, so we would expect something in that term. Powers and Sullivan is on site working on the first phase of some of their audit work, doing some of the tests, looking in on it. And I believe next week we have Mr. Peacock scheduled to meet on that matter. The street sweeping, we've been having calls on those. We got the call we get every summer when the summer residents and such come in that Wareham is beautiful and Onset hasn't been touched yet. There's a couple responses to that one, but then the nice response is actually we're doing the primary roads now, are not done with them, and we will reach out to the secondary roads. Also, the state does do sweeping on the state roads. So if you see a state road that looks beautiful, I'd love to take credit. We didn't do it. Right now, they're going to have to focus on the Escape the Cape route and try and clean that of any sand and debris to make sure that the bike riders don't
Kill themselves.
shoot off the road.
Just for your information, Mr. Chairman, I earlier inquired as to whether Oak Street was considered a main road, and I was told most emphatically it is not.
Definitely not.
No.
We don't
In
care.
fact, I think it's probably the last road in town that's going to get plowed
I think the
due
response
to the fact that we live on it.
the response was, nor is it a secondary road.
Also, I'd like to make a note that I saw today that I believe it was municipal maintenance was removing the barrels on Main Street for the new barrels that were put in with the streetscape.
Yeah, they were part of the project, and they weren't supposed to be added on there, so that was rectified.
Yeah, because there was a complaint about that.
Okay. The,
I'm just thinking because, you know, I got an email about a street sign, and it was the wrong color,
Yeah, they didn't
the
match.
wrong letters and the wrong colors. Is that a private street or accepted way?
actually, the response was during the final walkthrough, those items and such are essentially tagged, and then they are changed by the contractor and such. If it's a contractor's mistake, it's obviously
It's
no
amazing
cost
what
at
some things people notice, though.
Good
I
eye.
didn't notice it. Did you notice it?
I hope that person doesn't come to my house. They'll
Yeah, I
point out
know.
all
I'm
the
in
issues.
big trouble if she gets near the house.
Walmart, they are in the final phase of the turtle sweep, which has taken, about 6 months or so?
Yeah, I see they got it all fenced off and
Yeah.
everything.
Once again, the town was not requesting a turtle sweep. The conservation agent did not request a turtle sweep, although I'm sure he's happy with it. This was something by Mass, was it the
Endangered species.
endangered species, so.
The turtle
How
sweep
much
is even
longer
slower
is it-
than the turtles, as it turns out.
How
Yeah.
much longer is it gonna take for these turtles to be swept?
They believe they have it down to one of the final culprits. I
Did
don't
you
know,
see,
but
you know how
these-
big that piece of land is, and they got it all closed in. I mean, wow.
They're either very
world
fast or
is
very good
crazy.
at hiding, these turtles, so.
Well, there is a turtle habitat not too far from there that is really a turtle habitat. So maybe they could just kind of push them in that direction.
There was, we received some information on stormwater grants of up to 400,000. I had asked at the department head meeting, Mr. Pina to lead a discussion with Mr. Menard and Mr. Campina. And although one of the main segments is nitrogen, there was a thought that we weren't shovel-ready to do anything through the water pollution control facility for these grants. I'd like to ask that we speak to one of the board members on this that would have interest before the next meeting and have it on the agenda just to speak about one of the topics. The only thing that has a chance that we have some sort of designs for is behind Merchant's Way and doing the porous asphalt. So whether that's, there does need to be matching funds, which for the 400,000, the matching funds would be approximately 100,000, which means you could use Chapter 90 monies. So by investing 100,000 of those to have a $400,000 return, and obviously the porous asphalt will help with our stormwater remediation, which is one of the big items that we have coming down the pike for us. So I know there's only 3 members tonight, but if we could poll you real quick and see if there's somebody we could work with, I'd appreciate it.
I think I've been doing it right along. If you want, just let me know.
I think that works fine, so we can meet up on that. I think as we're going and we'll be learning about the parking program, one of the things I think people need to understand is we put some items forward and we're not afraid to adjust them. It happened with the kiosks last year. With the pricing and even the time of them. So we're starting the first phase of the parking program. Again, Mr. Buckminster will bring forward some additional maps. We'll try and get them out to the board ahead of time to look at them so you're not just studying them at the meeting for the first time. I do have concerns about East Boulevard because we have some businesses, and if we shut that all off to residential, we could potentially hurt them. We do have... There was a proposal through the CETA parking study in front of the real estate company to put approximately 6 parking spots in sort of that triangle area. Because if you notice, there's a lot of pavement in there. And it's wide open, can be potentially dangerous. We can also see about switching parking from one side to the other and
That was a
keeping,
big issue.
and keeping some of the parking for some of the businesses.
I'm okay with that. The only problem is what he had talked about originally was boater parking spaces. Boater parking spaces aren't gonna do that. They're gonna get in there, they're gonna go to their boats, they're gonna take their boat, they're gonna go to Martha's Vineyard, they could go here, they go wherever they go. So those saving spaces for those purposes is really not helping our businesses, not helping anybody. They get a nice spot for $65 a year, whatever it is, it's a beautiful harbor. They can park in a paid parking lot. Simple as that. Other than that, as far as taking care of the businesses, I think if we have potential and space, that should be our next, after we do the residents, the businesses should come next. I agree with that 100%.
I think also the test of this, the Beach and Tourism Committee and the Heinz Field experiment is one that's really, could be
Be interesting to
excellent
see
for
how it
us,
goes.
yeah. But as we look into it, I think we already need to start into the phase 2 of the parking program. We are receiving complaints from such areas as Swiss Beach as to why they were left out from the parking program. I do know that CETA has put a second survey forward for parking program for Wareham itself, including the Main Street area. The first study that was completed was Onset, which is why we're implementing it. So again, some people are jealous, I guess would say, or upset that it's happening to Onset first. So I don't know what the tally is for the score as to who's ahead, but
It doesn't matter.
You're losing, that's all you need to know.
I think I am in that one. But again, I
It's a
think
townwide issue anyways.
Swiss Beach would be an interesting area to take a look
Yes.
at for as well.
It would be, because there's a lot of the roads around Swiss Beach, they no parking period as well. A lot of the residential homes.
It's a little better over there because they actually have off-street parking. Almost every place there has at least one parking in their driveway. So it's a little easier than Onset, which, a lot of the houses have none.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest complaints we'd received from Onset, and then you had both sides of the coin. Some said, well, they used to have off-street parking, and they decided to put lawn or create a patio there, so why are we being punished because they decided to do something? But,
Well, that's a good point.
yeah,
I mean,
again,
if that's something that's recent, then that makes a difference,
and again, I lose on that argument, so that's fine.
It's a tough
And-
argument to make.
Yeah.
Gotta
We're-
start looking at aerials.
We're continuing with the labor negotiations. They will be cooled down in June, as we're going to try and hold money back from the legal line and not expend it. Obviously, we pay the town council Emerson on that one.
It's easy to hold back on the legal end, just don't get ourselves sued. It's typically how you do that.
Which you've done an excellent job, actually, the board for this.
I think we have.
appreciate
I
it.
think we've cut it way back.
I guess I shouldn't say actually, you've done an excellent job. Let's not qualify.
Seem surprised at this, you say actually.
And that's the report for the evening. We have met with some additional solar companies for the WPCF solar project, as well as the Sage solar project, which is ready to go forward. So
Awesome. That it?
Mr. Titlebaum, any questions for town administrator?
I'm good.
All set. Thank you, Derek.
All right, next on the agenda is liaison reports. Mr. Titlebaum.
Go ahead.
Well, you kind of heard the beach and tourism one. That was the one thing I did. Was it last week or the week before? I don't even remember. I guess it was 2 weeks ago. I will say on Wednesday, Chairman Slavin and I both went to the Board of Health initial discussion. It's not a public hearing, but the initial discussion on the hotel motel regulation governing length of stays. It was a fairly spirited discussion. We provided some input from the town perspective. There was a citizen there who has appeared before this board, who spoke to the issue and was very concerned about the plight of the people who might be turned out after a period of time. There was also one motel owner there who talked about things from his perspective. So it was an interesting discussion. They do intend to come back, I believe, for at least one more meeting of discussion before they actually come up with anything so formal as to require a hearing and a vote and everything else. So I know I'll be keeping an eye on that.
I believe we have that also on our agenda next month as well.
Yeah, and that's a vote, I believe, to authorize you to, it's a discussion and a possible vote to authorize you to execute a letter on behalf of the board supporting such a regulation? I
I
think
think-
that's how it's
Yeah, I
going to be
think,
couched.
I think the Board of Health agent is gonna come in and explain where they're at
Okay.
that point.
Okay. I'm all set.
Okay, I don't have much. Community Events Committee, they've allocated what money they have left in their fund has been allocated out to the fireworks and other events in the town for this year. Going forward, there's some issues though, as far as funding. Celebration 2014, I recommend everybody take a look at their website. There are events starting this week and going into the second week of June. There'll be the muster and some other events. There'll be a clam bake on the 22nd. And then in early July, there'll be events from about the 5th all the way through to, I believe, the 15th. Memorial Day, we had the American Legion. We also had a member from the VFW. Went around to the different cemeteries. The Bruce's were there, several other people were there. Small turnout. I believe Caitlin was there. And I'm hoping next year that we get something better formed and set up. Unfortunately, the person behind it all over the last 4 or 5 years has passed away. And it was kind of sad that we didn't do a better job. There's a possibility that we're going to move our meeting of the 17th from Tuesday to Monday to accommodate the override election. Walmart will be breaking ground on June 20th. And the sewer commissioner bill, as everybody knows, has passed. Governor has signed it. So basically, there will be new sewer commissioners effective May 1st, 2015. That's it.
Okay. Next up is the consent agenda and authorization to sign bills. We have none. And then approval of minutes. Minutes from May 6, 2014, regular sewer commissioners, selectmen's meeting. I move that we approve those minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
300.
Okay. Second is the minutes of the meeting of selectmen and sewer commissioners from May 13, 2014. Move approval.
Before seconding, I have one change. They've got me down as chairman on this one, which I most assuredly was not.
Says Alan.
May 13th and 14th?
May 13th and 14th. If this one's, it says Alan here.
Okay, well, we'll go with your copy then, because I
Okay.
actually,
All right, according to
Gave-
my copy, you're not chairman.
yeah, according to
been
mine,
fi-
I am.
you got
I
fired.
was. According to mine, I was.
Well, they just gave you a special
I
copy.
guess it didn't last long.
It's okay, out in the wall, the sign outside says you were.
All right, so you all set with
I
that
can second those minutes. I can't second these minutes,
then?
so.
Second. Okay,
I'll second that.
all right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 300.
Okay, that takes care of minutes. Next up is reappointments. I have Old Colony Elder Services.
This is something we have to do every year in order to
Um,
get our funding through them. I believe Pam Dudley has been,
I move that we approve Pam Dudley to the Old Colony Elder Services Board of Directors to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2015.
Second.
any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 300.
Next up is Conservation. I move we approve William J. Smith to the Conservation Commission for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2015.
I believe that's an associate position.
It, yes, an associate position.
It should be for 1 year.
Yep, June 30th, 2015.
Peter, did you second that?
I'll second it. Just for clarification, there is no other applicant for that same associate's position.
No.
I just wanted to get that out there so people knew what we were.
I believe they actually have, I think they're allowed 3 associates. I think one of the associates is, I believe, has notified the office they were not going to reapply.
Right.
So,
I just wanted people to understand there's no competition for this one.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? No, 300.
All right, next up is approval of constables. I have Cynthia A. Folis. I move that we approve her as a constable for the town of Wareham for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2015.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 300.
Oh, you need to sign these, by the way. All right, next up is Richard J. Coletti. I move we approve him as a constable for the town of Wareham for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2015.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 300.
I'll leave him over there, Alan. Next up is Michael Diesso. I move that we approve him as a constable for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2015.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 300.
Next is Herb W. Vandell, and I move we approve him as a constable for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2015.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 300.
Next up, Thomas A. Zine. I move we approve him as a constable for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2015.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 300.
Next up is Joel Thomas. I move we approve him as a constable for the town of Wareham for a term to expire June 30th, 2015.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 300.
And that's it on the appointment list for constables.
Give you a second to get signed and sealed.
We've basically pushed this up a little bit. Normally it happens in later June, but we're trying to keep up with all of it ahead of time.
All right. All right, next up,
We have
Open Space Committee. I move we reappoint Don Hall to the Open Space Committee for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2017.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 300.
Next up, Community Events Committee. Linda Gay, I move we appoint Linda Gay to the Community Events Committee for a term to expire June 30th, 2017.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 300.
I move we appoint Lori Benson to the Community Events Committee to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2017.
All
Second.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 300.
ZBA. ZBA, I move we approve Wilma Ingerman to a associate's position on the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2015.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 300.
I move we approve Michael Martin as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals to term to expire no later than June 30th, 2019.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 300.
That's it for him. Oops, sorry. Didn't mean to get you all. I guess
Get
this-
a rise out of all of us.
Yeah. All right. We'll finish those up and then we'll do this last piece and. Thank you, sir. Just gonna put that right there. You signed that one, didn't you? I think.
No.
No, sorry. All right, next up is a gift to the town. I think we've already, I think we are actually already voted on this. Matter of fact, I know we did.
Good.
We already voted on this, so I just need you guys to sign it.
Need to sign it.
I just need you to sign these two goodies right here.
Again,
And-
anybody out there who has a committee where their time is up, we've sent out 3 notices to
Sign that
everybody
for
about
me.
requesting reappointment. It's just a standard piece. You don't have to come in, you just have to send an email in saying you want to be reappointed. So please take care of that, because June 30th is the end of the appointment time, and you would no longer be a member on July 1st. Thank you.
Okay, this goes in there. You want to sign that, please? You can just throw it right in there with the agenda.
Can do.
Where's my elastic? Let's put it right in there. Announcements back in. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We've come to the end.
Make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
You're calling for the vote before you got the second.
I know.
Watch you.
3-0-0. It's all fine.
Good night, Wareham.
Good night, everybody.